welcome back to Director's Cut. This month we are talking about designing your life, one of my favorite topics. So we're going to dive right in. All right, so first question, what does designing your life mean to you?
Purpose, intent.
Yeah, I think also it's getting clarity on your goals, like what, and I know that sounds really like organized and everything, but if you don't know where you want to head, what you want to do, and yes, having kind of that game plan, like, okay, what do I want to have in a year? What do I want to have in 5 years? It seems almost cliche, but you have to know. And is it going to change? Potentially.
Yeah.
Because life changes. But you have to have that clarity of where you're headed and things you want to accomplish, things you want to do.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I would say purpose
Yeah.
and intent are my big things.
Yep, I've heard intent twice, but that was what I was thinking too. That
Intent.
planning, but with an intention. So knowing what direction you're going and taking steps toward it, and that could be long-term goals or short-term goals or both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd say the only thing I would add to any of that, so all of that, and self-awareness, because I think knowing where I'm at and what my limitations are, and I could set a goal and have a plan, but if I'm not self-aware of what I can actually accomplish, I could be setting myself up for failure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Mhm. So I teach on this, so this is why it's one of my favorite topics, but I really feel like it's first really important to know yourself. Like what you're saying, getting clarity, intention, all of that. Because when you have that self-awareness of who you are, how you tick, all of those things, it can really help you to, oh, okay, this is okay for me to be this way, or for me to like these things, or all of that. So
That's the why of it. Like
Yeah.
Understanding your why.
yeah. So what do you guys think about that?
I think that's a hard, it's a really hard thing to do. I think getting to know yourself and, we change too.
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought was okay and how to behave or how I was, and now I'm finding out maybe that's not who I want to be. Now I have to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and part of it's too of being ready for that, because you do have to be really honest. Something that I've come to terms with and am right now doing kind of surface down, plan a work, is that I've had I've had trauma of some form in my life since 2013. I had other trauma, but I've had a lot of trauma. My son graduated from high school, so we kind of but then we moved in with my in-laws, and I know that doesn't trauma, but it's a traumatic change.
Mm-hmm.
I had a hysterectomy. There's just, you kind of walk down through, I lost my sister in 2019. So it's like just the rolling aspect of, ooh, I have to get messy in order to get to know, because I've been in survival mode.
Yeah.
But all of those things have impacted and changed me. And I have to be really, really honest that how have they changed me? How have they made me different? And am I okay with that different, or do I need to do some work to get out of that difference? Because sometimes we can change and we settle in and we're like, I don't like that.
I think the honesty is the hardest part too, is you start to look at, and I don't know if you're going to talk or ask, but one of the things I am currently working on, and I've shared with this group, is I'm mental health, and I'm working on a program, and it scares me to death, because the only person I'm not going to be honest with is me. And so it's a very interesting dynamic to find out like who you are and kind of create the plan based on how you want that to look.
Yeah.
And it goes so perfectly into the next part that I think is really important for designing your ideal life is that you have to dump the junk.
There's another
There's-
t-shirt.
Yeah. Dump the
Yeah,
junk.
we've dumped the junk. We have.
Yeah.
Do it scared.
Do it scared.
But I mean,
Polish
we were
food.
talking about it earlier. Don Renee was even talking a bunch about boundaries, learning to set new
Huge.
boundaries and deal breakers, non-negotiables. So what do you guys think about that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to turn this into a panel, but it was kind
That's
of
okay.
is, so.
And we will be talking more about
Yeah.
boundaries, so keep an
we
eye out
will.
in the future here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super important though, and I think the big thing is just holding yourself accountable for those choices as well. Yeah.
And
I
family
think too.
dynamics, right? Like as we grow older, we learn like what we were saying in the getting old, right? You think all these grown-ups have things
Have
put
it all
together,
together.
and then you become an adult, and you're like, oh, maybe they
You're
don't
like,
have
oh.
everything together, and your
Right.
family dynamics might not be what you thought they were. Or does anyone want to speak to that?
Well, and, as we were getting ready for this today, even we're talking about being married now, I have to design my life. It's not just my road. I have to have that. Does that design work with my partner?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess kind of interesting if it doesn't. Either you
Right.
change your design or you change your partner. One of the two.
Right.
True. Yes.
It's probably easier to change the design. But it suddenly becomes a little bit, you're doing your own self-reflections as well, but then how do you mesh that? Because we've been together 27 years.
Right.
We've changed a lot.
Yeah. Become
Well,
different people.
and just and it's with couples or single as well.
Mhm.
Oh,
I've
absolutely.
been being a single person, and then things change, and just being okay with that change, but designing a life that I'm okay with, whether I find a partner later on or I'm okay with where I'm at being single as well.
And I think a lot of what we've talked about too is if you don't dump the junk,
Right.
then you just take those same patterns
Right.
to the rest of your life. And the idea is, even though it doesn't happen necessarily in a row, because it all happens at the same time, we need to work on those things so that we can create that future that we want to have.
And then
So-
implementing those boundaries too,
Mhm.
and sticking to
Not
them.
letting it happen again.
Yes, yes.
Well, and as we grow and life changes, then the design that we're thinking about for the future is going to change.
Yes.
And so, the empty nest stage, and then figuring out with your partner, what do we want? What's going to take our time and energy? Is there some big goals we want to work toward individually as well as together? Where are we going to live? Stay in the big house, move to a small house, all those.
Yeah.
When do we retire? I keep saying
Yeah.
that.
So much.
But what's next?
Do you
What's
want
the
to
next thing?
retire, Patty?
I don't think so, but
Maybe from being
it's closer now than it used to be.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, what that looks like. So then finally, I think the final step is designing your life. If you can discover who you are, really get clear on your goals and all of that, and then you can dump a lot of that junk and baggage. And it's a lot of what we talked about last month was with the growing old gracefully,
Yeah.
being happy with who you are and being okay with you. So then designing your life, like what does that look like? And I would love to hear if you guys have some examples of ways that you've designed your life.
I will say I have so far designed my life to focus on self-care. Somebody, when I was early 20s at Clark, had talked about like how important that is. And at that point I wasn't making a lot of money. So I was going to massage schools and paying $20 for massage but just focusing on that self-care piece. And so I've intentionally designed my life to where self-care is just built in. I mean, there's a monthly schedule of certain people I see, and it's not in part because I don't want to, be broken and then have to see like a chiropractor, for example, because my body's broken. I wanted, so I see it as preventative care. So I've, designed my life to focus on preventative care.
I love it. I mean, you're going to pay for it one way or the other, right? Either
Right.
before or after.
Yeah.
It's good. I love that. Giving me some good ideas. Anyone else?
I think we're focusing on how, we have the adult children. How do we still keep that family dynamic? Because it's very different. It starts to become that, okay, every Sunday we have dinner, that kind of a thing, just to, okay, let's all check in, see who we are. So that's kind of where we're focusing our design. It's not there yet, but we'll get there.
Okay. The intention is what makes it happen, right? Yeah, I love that. I think it's so important with your adult kids checking in because we forget. Like, it's easy to not do that.
Yeah, and I think on kind of tagging onto that is, also you have adult children, and I mean your kiddos are home.
They do live there.
They live there. But it is a very different dynamic when they move away, and then my son got married in 2021, and so now there's that dynamic, and so for us it's how are we making certain that we're, like you said, connecting, but it can't be as often as you might want it to be. So it's, Sunday dinner or, let's go out to lunch or, whatever. And for us, it's really interesting because we are caregivers. So that's a dynamic that is kind of, we're in perpetual limbo of how long that will be. Right. So we're in an interesting place right now, and myself wanting to go into this year and forward of, okay, we just need to live as if, this is how it's going to be. So how can we make the best of right now and spend time together, experience new things, support each other in the individual things that we're doing, and have quality of life even within limitation, because we have a limiter on us. We can only do so much or go so far, because that's just life.
Well, and I love what you said there too. How can we make what? I forgot exactly how you put it.
Where we're at right now.
Yes, thank you. Say that again, because I think that was so good.
Yeah, so kind of just taking like, okay, this is the phase of life where we're at right now.
Right.
We have to accept the reality of where we're at right now and designing our life as if, okay, this is what it is. We don't know if it's going to change in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Who knows? I might get a phone call.
Yeah,
But-
just live your best life in the moment.
And I think that's probably true for everyone.
Sure.
It's just we have a very specific reality of okay, this is this is what it is.
Well, and
Yeah,
I think that's key. It's not designing your life just for one phase of life.
Yeah.
I think all of us have had to do that to some extent in the different phases that we've been in. I love hearing a lot of Patty Lynn's stories about her mom and how she's made things special, and then you've carried that on for your family. Your kids aren't supposed to be limiters. Some people do that and say, well, we can't do that because we have kids. They should be your reason. So can you share a little bit of that, Patty Lynn? I'm putting on the spot because we didn't talk about this at all. I know she likes to think through her answers.
So ways that I designed the children's experience.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of little things.
Yeah.
So one thing, I'm so glad we did not have the cell phone in our pocket when my kids were little.
Yeah.
Even in my mature age, it is a temptation to
It is hard.
look at it and to check whatever. And what's important, was always the little kids, and these that was my job for a while, and then I became working as well as little children, but just making sure that during the different phases, of course, I think we all kind of did that they were stimulated, but that it was special, and the routines that we'd have, the Friday pizza night and the birthday,
I love it.
I think a lot of families do the choose your birthday dinner or, special family trips. But I think just like we're talking about, designing your life is not always the long-term goals,
Right.
but
Sure.
designing your days, designing your interactions.
Right.
How do I want to interact with my children? How do I want to interact with my husband? What? So in relationships or in how do I want to show up to work every morning? Or, these, you get to design that, these
Yeah.
little instances.
Right. Because it's not just one thing. It's not just work. It's not just, it's all of the things. It's your relationships, your health, your work, like you said, your day, your month, your
financial,
year,
even
your finances. Yeah, there's so much to that.
So much.
It's such a huge topic, which is why I spend a lot of time talking about it. But
the designs have to be in harmony, because if your financial design isn't in line with
that's a big piece.
For example, isn't in line with other designs, then that's not going to work so well.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But even in that, if your budget says you can't do something, you can find ways, right. To, like you said, go and get massages at a massage school rather than maybe the bougie $60 an hour or whatever.
But I think that's what makes the design so important. It is definitely flexible, fluid, constantly changing, but it helps you then to look at where your priorities are. What is it that's important to you? Okay, if it is important to you and your budget doesn't allow it, I guarantee you'll find, hey, maybe that means you don't get your Starbucks,
right.
Yeah,
3 times a week. And
I'll have to make this at home. I'm not gonna, And that's one of the things that I actually just collaborated on an annual planning workshop, and we're going to start doing it quarterly. But one of the things that I've done myself, and then I've kind of transposed that to working with my clients, is big goals for the year. So I think sometimes those goals you can have also layer into 5-year goals, and, you can have them be more long-term. But always saying, okay, big goals. So the top goal that you want to have happen in your personal life, the top goal, if you own a business, your professional life, whatever, your top financial goal. And then I have a top fun goal.
Oh, nice.
So personal, that's going to be person, me, and potentially relationship dynamics. But the fun, so this year this year we're going back to something we did several years ago when I first started doing this. And so personally, we've decided, like, going out and eating, while we enjoy it, it's so expensive right now, and like the food doesn't seem as good, and like we're spending all this money. So we're going to be really intentional when we do that, but we're going to work on once a month doing something that we have not necessarily done together. So something new. The first year we did this, like, I had been swing dancing, he hadn't. So we went to a swing dancing class. He hated it, so we haven't done that. He's done brewing. I had never really studied how to brew, so we took a brewmaster class. And so we started brewing kombucha for that reason, because we're like, oh, we learned how to do that. So we want to do something new, and it doesn't even have to cost anything. It could be like, oh, we've never been to hiked this mountain or hiked this area or whatever. So that's kind of what we're, for us personally. And I think if you can think of it in that way, like just one big goal in those 4 areas for a year, but then it starts to stack, towards better change.
Yeah. You build momentum as you go. Yeah.
And all those great memories that you're making.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really wonderful. And also, as we get older, we get stuck in our ruts.
Yes.
And
we talked about last month.
In my classroom, I teach the students to say, when I say, okay, it's something new, they go, something new. Wahoo!
That's another shirt.
I need that t-shirt. Yes. Yeah. And instead of thinking, oh no, it's something new. But we got a new copier in the office, and one of the teachers I was saying, oh man, I don't know how to, and I thought, something new, wahoo! So even the other teachers are thinking
I love it. Oh my goodness.
We need to okay, something new. And I had a friend when I was in my 20s, and she was old. 60s? I was in my 20s, so older, but I loved her. She was my friend, older and wiser.
Perspective.
Been married for 30 years. I don't know how old she was. But she said to me once, we were going out to lunch, and someone, with the office, and someone said, oh, we're going to this Mexican place. She said, oh, I love a change in plans. And I said, why do you say that? And she said, because you can get stuck in things. So I just tell myself I love a change in plans. And it really, to my 20-year-old, it's stuck in my head. And when things change, I'd say often audibly, after this role model of mine, I love a change in plans.
I love that.
Oh, it's exciting, right? Instead of, oh, it's changing now. But something new.
Right.
That's
I love
me.
a change in plans needs to be a journal, I think.
Yeah.
I love it.
Please be watching for our G.A.L.S line of
Right.
merch and merchandise coming to
love
you
it.
soon. There will be links in the description.
So as we wrap up this episode, I keep putting my hands in front of Kira. I'm sorry, Kira. I would love to just make sure, is there anything that you wanted to share that you're designing? We're not going to call it resolutions. We're in March.
No,
So, but not, I don't even like calling it goals. What is something you're going to design in 2023 or just do in 2023 that you're excited about? We're 3 months in, so maybe you've had some time to think about
I'm taking
this a
some
little
classes.
bit. Yeah.
So life coach classes, and it's very exciting. So it's kind of looking forward to the future and very excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing my very first speaking engagement this month.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And I will be on stage with you.
Yes.
And actually to add on to that, one of the things that is a big design for me is stepping into that more, speaking more publicly, because I was on that trajectory when the great shutdown happened,
Yeah.
the great pause, and I miss it. And it really does have, I don't know, it fills a space of joy, and it also is just an extra benefit towards helping me, design other parts of my life. So
There you go. I think for us, I was planning on sharing a lot more, but then I have to be careful because I could just talk way too much. So this is my careful. But for us, we're actually excited. We were planning on doing skiing this year. We took on mountain biking last year, but we didn't have enough time to feel confident in our just strength. So next year we're planning on taking on skiing. So
bless you.
I
'cause
know I'm a little scared, but also excited.
Just do it scared.
Just do it
Just
scared.
do it scared. That's right. It's something
Wahoo!
new. I love it.
Oh, goodness.
I think I'm just focusing on my mental health. I'm trying to figure out where my head is.
Love it. All right. Did everybody share who wants to share? All right. So with that, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're joining us from YouTube, please do go to our description and find the G.A.L.S community and join us. We would love to have you. And yeah, we will see you next Director's Cut. Have a happy rest of your March. Bye.